Today we begin with the story that the National Coordinator of Nigeria's Virus Task Force, Sani Aliyu, has said the number of cases in Nigeria is far more than has been detected. He stressed the need for people to respect containment measures and do all it takes to stay safe and not contract the virus. Speaking at the daily briefing of the task force in Abuja yesterday, he said many countries in the world are fighting this pandemic. Over 9 million people have tested positive, not suspicion, but tested positive for the disease, and at least 22,000 of them are in Nigeria. There are thousands more in our country. For every one case, there are a handful of cases that we are missing because we are not able to test everybody. The containment measures that were put in place to protect the public are there to protect the public. They are not there to swindle them. No sane country on earth will destroy its own economy willingly. No sane country on earth will take major decisions that they know would be detrimental to their economy. So we're living in really challenging times, and we couldn't have taken this decision just on the basis of maybe suspicion that a disease exists. This disease does exist, whether we like it or not, it exists. If we want to survive it, we have to start believing in it. According to Aliyu, if people believed Ebola and Lassa fever without experiencing it firsthand, then there was no reason to doubt the existence of COVID-19 in the country. We do not need to know someone personally who has died from COVID-19 to believe it is real. In fact, I think it is a disservice and is insensitive to those families that have lost loved ones or people to continue to claim that COVID-19 does not exist, he said. Let us not wait for the virus to reach disastrous proportions before we begin to believe and act. We have already seen this happen in many other countries. We must learn from their experiences to mitigate preventable fatalities. Currently, Nigeria's confirmed COVID-19 cases stand at 22,614, with 7,822 recoveries and 549 deaths. About 20,000 children have been given a phone containing an app called WebTV. Local authorities plan to roll out the scheme to 300,000 children in the coming weeks. According to government projections, the coronavirus pandemic will present challenges to full school reopenings for at least a year. So Lagos Education Ministry is working to make public education provision less reliant on the classroom. It's quite clear we are not going to go back to how things were, said Folashade Adefisayo, the Commissioner for Education. We will have to manage this virus for a while, and we have found e-learning to be efficient and interesting. The children love the app, and so far we see it as being a part of how they can learn going forward. Exams will still be held in schools, she said, but officials will conduct studies on the effectiveness of digital learning on results. Lockdown measures are slowly easing in Lagos, yet new cases are accelerating. Education officials project that even after the outbreak subsides, it will be a challenge to fully reopen schools. Before now, we haven't invested sufficiently in education technology, but this has forced us, Adefisayo said. When we open schools, we are imagining a reality where we only open them for a certain number of days a week because of social distancing. Since the pandemic began, radio-based learning has been the most effective medium, especially in rural areas where television and internet networks are weak, according to the Lagos Education Ministry. Thousands of free radio devices will be distributed to students from next week. The issue has been the demography of children in public schools. They don't have access to devices nor can afford data, the commissioner said. Teachers involved in the trial have broadly embraced it, according to Joseph Odusoye, a chemistry school teacher. It doesn't replace the school, but it's a major help, he said. Now with these phones, the children are online constantly. We can interact. I schedule our classes. We can discuss, hold video classes. Sometimes I'll send voice notes and chats. The flexibility helps, and I can monitor their progress very well. Femi Oshika, Educate's founder, said the app was originally designed to enhance in-school learning. There has to be interaction between students and teachers because we learn that way, but we also think that we can complement schools and limit their boundaries. There are different ways that learning can evolve. The government has lauded the initiative, yet also concedes that the number of children who will benefit from the service is low. Only 1 in 10 Lagos schools, numbering about 1,700, are publicly funded. The rest are private institutions, half of which have been founded in the last 9 years, according to a study by Education International. Parents often end up paying associated costs to send their children to public schools, and in any case, places are scarce and government funding is low. Low-cost private schools have proliferated as a result in many cases, providing lower standards of education. Ideally, we would have liked to have given the phone out to low-cost private schools, as the Fisayo said, but we are hoping if we can get investments, we can start doing that. As schools have remained closed, education inequalities in Lagos have widened, as the Fisayo said. Inequality continues to bother us. We knew that the pandemic would further exacerbate the learning gap, which the state is committed to address. Film producers in Nigeria hope to go back into production within the next 2 months once the government gives it go-ahead. Analysts estimate Nollywood, as the industry is known, has lost almost $30 million as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The government is still working on safety measures for film sets, and industry staff anticipate production costs will rise to account for ensuring safety of their cast and crew. Recent years have seen online streaming platforms play a role in the consumption of Nigerian films with platforms like WebTV and more recently Netflix, but cinema box offices and DVD sales are still the main sources of income. The Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator, a WHO-led group working for the development of and equitable access to coronavirus testing, treatment and vaccines, has called for $31.3 billion of investments in the initiative. The principle of equitable access is a simple thing to say, but a complicated thing to implement, WHO Director General said today. It requires active collaboration between governments, industry, health organizations, civil society organizations, and committees. Vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics are vital tools, but to be truly effective, they must be administered with another essential ingredient, which is solidarity. Benj has partially lifted a week's long lockdown imposed in the Chinese capital to head off a feared second wave of coronavirus infections after 3 million samples were taken in 2 weeks, officials have said. Dozens of residential compounds across the country were shut down, with authorities rolling out a mass testing campaign to root out any remaining cases. China is trying to contain the outbreak linked to the Xianfadi wholesale food market, Ben's biggest supply of produce and meat. The lockdown was eased on Tuesday for 7 apartment blocks after residents tested negative for the virus, officials said at a briefing today. The remaining blocks are still in lockdown. 11 new virus cases across Benj were announced today, bringing the total number of infections in the capital since the 11th of June outbreak to 280. India neared 500,000 confirmed coronavirus cases, with its biggest 24-hour spike of 17,296 new infections, prompting a delay in resumption of regular train services of more than a month. The new cases took India's total to 490,401. The Health Ministry also reported 407 more deaths in the previous 24 hours, taking its total fatalities to 15,301. The ministry said the recovery rate was continuing to improve at 57.43%. Also, deaths per 100,000 stood at 1.86 against the world average of 6.24 per 100,000, it said. Indian Railways was due to resume regular train service on June 30th, but said yesterday that it wouldn't fully resume until August 12th. Trains were halted when the government declared a nationwide lockdown in late March. Special trains linking main cities have been running since mid-May as part of an easing of the lockdown. Also, under India's healthcare system, everyone should be able to receive either free or highly subsidized care at those public hospitals depending on their income. But the system has been chronically underfunded, meaning government hospitals are overburdened and patients often face days-long waits for even basic treatments. Ukraine reported a record daily increase in coronavirus cases as authorities warned lockdowns may have to be reimposed if people continue to flout restrictions. Health authorities recorded 1,109 new coronavirus infections in the previous 24 hours, bringing Ukraine's total to more than 41,000. Ukrainian officials have repeatedly complained that people are ignoring social distancing and other safety rules after antivirus restrictions were eased last month. Indonesia reported 1,240 new coronavirus infections, taking the total number of cases to 51,427. There were 63 more deaths recorded, with total fatalities now at 2,683, said Health Ministry official Achmad Jurianto. The death toll from COVID-19 in Indonesia is the highest in East Asia outside of China. Vietnam warned that the virus pandemic has swept away years of economic gains as Southeast Asian leaders met online for a summit also dominated by anxiety over Beijing's move in the flashpoint South China Sea. It has swept away the successes of recent years, threatening the lives of millions of people, Vietnam's Prime Minister Nguyen Duong Phuong said in a sobering opening address. He emphasized the serious consequences of the pandemic for economic development among ASEAN's members. ASEAN General Secretary Lim Jok-hyo confirmed the bleak outlook, warning the region's economy is expected to contract for the first time in 22 years. Russia on Friday reported 6,800 new coronavirus cases, the first daily rise below 7,000 since late April, taking its nationwide tally to 620,794. The country's coronavirus response center said 176 people had died of the virus in the last 24 hours, bringing the death toll to 8,781. Australia's supermarket chains reintroduced purchase limits on toilet paper and other household items as a spike in coronavirus cases in the state of Victoria set off a fresh round of panic buying over fears of a new stay-at-home order. Woolworths Group Limited and Coles Group Limited, which together account for two-thirds of Australian grocery sales, said they were once again limiting purchases of toilet paper and paper towels to 1 or 2 packs per person after photos circulated on social media showing empty shelves in stores. With only 7,500 cases in total and 104 deaths, Australia has been easing restrictions on movement, but a string of double-digit increases in cases in the second most populous state, Victoria, led to a pause in the reopening there and prompted shoppers to hoard. Testing has continued to fall in Pakistan, one of the countries with the fastest rates of growth of the coronavirus. Yesterday, Pakistan tested 21,041 patients, of whom 2,775 tested positive, a test positive rate of 13%. Pakistan's countrywide tally of cases rose to 195,745 cases yesterday, with 59 deaths, taking the death toll to 4,037. Sindh and Punjab provinces, the country's two most populous regions, appear to be the main areas where testing has dropped, according to government data. Testing in Sindh has roughly halved over the course of this week to 6,458 tests, while in Punjab, testing remains at a level more than 2,000 tests below its peak. Millions of children could be pushed to the brink of starvation as the coronavirus pandemic sweeps across war-torn Yemen amid a huge drop in humanitarian aid funding, the UN Children's Agency warned. The stark prediction comes in a new UNICEF report, Yemen 5 years on, children, conflict and COVID-19. It said the number of malnourished Yemeni children could reach 2.4 million by the end of the year, a 20% increase in the current figure. As Yemen's devastated health system and infrastructure struggle to cope with coronavirus, the already dire situation for children is likely to deteriorate considerably, UNICEF has warned. If we do not receive urgent funding, children will be pushed to the brink of starvation and many will die, said Sarah Baisolo-Yanti, UNICEF's representative to Yemen. The international community will be sending a message that the lives of children simply do not matter. A preliminary study of patients hospitalized with COVID-19 has found the disease can damage the brain, causing complications such as stroke, inflammation, physiosis, and dementia-like symptoms in some severe cases. The findings published in the Lancet Physiology journal yesterday are the first detailed look at a range of neurological complications of COVID-19, researchers have said, and underline a need for larger studies to find the mechanisms behind them and assist the search for treatments. This is an important snapshot of the brain-related complications of COVID-19 in hospitalized patients. It's critically important that we continue to collect this information to really understand this virus fully, said Sarah Pett, a University College London professor who co-led the work. The study looked in detail at 125 cases from across the UK. The number of US coronavirus infections rose at least 39,818 cases at the end of yesterday, according to Reuters news agency tally, marking the biggest daily increase in the country since the start of the pandemic. Several states across the U.S. have reported record rises in cases this week, including Texas, Alabama, Arizona, California, Florida, Idaho, Mississippi, Missouri, Nevada, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Wyoming. More than 36,000 new cases were recorded nationwide on Wednesday, a few hundred shy of the record 36,426 on April 24. Tubers prepare to float the Comal River in Texas despite a recent spike in COVID-19 cases. Also, nearly $1.1 million coronavirus relief payments, totaling some $1.4 billion, went to dead people in the United States, according to a new government watchdog study. The finding came in a Government Accountability Office report that reviewed payments from a $2.4 trillion coronavirus relief package enacted in March. The erroneous payments were made because of confusion over whether dead people should receive payments, the report said. While the government has asked survivors to return the money, it is not clear whether they have to. And that will be all for today's edition of The Human Angle. You can send in your pictures and videos to news@polshareng.com or programs@polshareng.com and let's share your experience and views. Visit our website www.polshareng.com to get more updates from our news stories and videos. Also follow our social media platforms shown on the screen for further updates on our market reports. Till next week, thank you for watching and please keep staying safe.